Hi, welcome to News and Views. I'm Suzanne Dowdy.
And I'm Lilias Milne.
Okay, so here we are looking at our Catholic news for this week, Sunday the 19th of August. And if you're joining us for the first time, this is what we do on a Friday morning. We read our own local Catholic news. We have some video clips lined up, everything that's happening in the, not everything, but some of the things that are happening in the Catholic world. And halfway through the program, we invite you, the viewer, to pick up your phone, give us a call and join in the conversation. And we love hearing from you. And
there's a lot of news to share with you today, and I'm sure we won't be able to get through all, so make sure and buy your Catholic news on Sunday.
Amen. Well, for those of us who brave the weather, actually, we thought we were braving it, but
there was no rain.
There was no rain at that time.
Fine.
Yes. So, in a simple yet solemn ceremony at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception, the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Port of Spain on Tuesday celebrated its first pallium imposition upon Metropolitan Archbishop Jason Gordon. And that is the main photograph that we have here is from that ceremony. And we see the papal nuncio vesting Archbishop Jason Gordon with the pallium. The ritual was the first for Apostolic Nuncio, His Excellency Archbishop Fortunatus, as traditionally the pallium was imposed by the Pope in Rome. So those of you who keep up with what's happening in the Catholic Church might have heard or read that before this was done in Rome, and now Pope Francis is asking that it be done in the particular archdiocese that the bishop is from.
Even though the Pope himself gives the pallium to the bishops, which the archbishops, which he did when Archbishop Jason
went up to Rome.
He gives it to them, but it's
the actual ceremony.
They invested with it by.
So they kind of get the best of both worlds because they get to go and meet the Pope, and the Pope actually gives them the pallium, but then the big ceremony is in their particular
and it's witnessed by the faithful, and in spite of the weather, there was a good turnout.
Very good turnout. Very good turnout.
And I think people who were there were very moved by it.
Yes.
It was a very simple but very moving ceremony, really and truly.
And we had Bishop Francis Alain of Georgetown, Guyana, and Bishop Carol of Paramaribo, Suriname, who were there to witness this.
And of course, they are bishops of the suffragan diocese that come under the Metropolitan. So No, they represent part of the Metropolitan See.
Yes.
So you have Bridgetown, Barbados, Georgetown, Guyana, Paramaribo, Suriname, Willemstad, Curacao.
Right.
Not all were able to come. The Bishop of Curacao wasn't able to make it. And of course, Archbishop Jason is also Bishop of, for the time being,
of Bridgetown, Barbados.
Of Bridgetown, yes.
The nuncio placed the pallium on the Archbishop's shoulders, asking that he receive the ecclesial vestment as a sign of his communion with the Pope and his pastoral responsibility as a shepherd of God's people. This so that on the day of the coming of Chief Shepherd Jesus Christ, he may be clothed in the vesture of immortality and glory. And I mean, the ceremony is just so beautiful, you know, the prayers, the words that the nuncio
and he made the point that it is a sign of the authority of the Metropolitan. We deliver to you the pallium, taken from the confession of the blessed Apostle Peter, that you may wear it within the confines of your ecclesiastical province. So therefore, if he is going to Jamaica to an event there, he wouldn't wear it there. He would only wear it either in Suriname or Guyana or Bridgetown or Trinidad or Curacao.
I mean, you know, the Catholic Church is just so rich in history and tradition, and, you know, to know all of these, you know, the intricacies.
There's some other articles inside, including the editorials. So,
and maybe we could just remind our viewers, I think by now, you know, every Catholic has heard over and over again what the pallium is, but here again is another little explanation. It's made of pure lamb's wool. It's a white wool vestment adorned with 6 black silk crosses. It represents the lost, sick, or weak sheep which a shepherd places on his shoulders and carries to the waters of life.
And of course, the end of the pallium, either end, is black. So that when you look at it, it really looks like
holding a sheep. Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes.
And these sheep, these lambs, are raised by the Trappist monks in Italy. And then on the feast of St. Agnes, Agnus Dei,
right.
The wool is taken from them, and then it's woven into the pallium. So
beautiful. So the editorial is much about just that. I think repeating a lot of what we've read on the first page.
They make some good points lower down. Amidst the crime, violence, murders, kidnappings, pornographic obsession, refugee invasion, drug addiction, with which his flock struggles, the Archbishop acquires the smell of his sheep, and the Universal Church validates and celebrates the participation of a local church in the throes of a breached birth. Is that beautiful?
Yes, yes.
The local church in the throes of a breached birth. Yet every mother knows that whenever a woman is in labor, she has pain because her hour has come. But when she gives birth to the child, she no longer remembers the anguish because of the joy that a child has been born in the world. With its rebirth, what anguish will the Caribbean church no longer remember? What kind of child will the Caribbean church beget? The leadership or the shepherding of the Caribbean church must be about creating vision, building bridges, setting goals, and developing strategies to achieve them. It should be about communicating clearly on national and regional issues, even if such messages are sometimes unfavorable and unpalatable. It demands effort in serving the most vulnerable sheep, addicts, refugees, divorcees, single parents, the homeless, the destitute, the disabled, the abused and discriminated, and whether that includes LGBT plus members or women who yearn to serve beyond lay ministry. Should Archbishop J undertake some of these in the feeding of his sheep, he shall no doubt weave quite a legacy into his own now pristine pallium.
Beautiful. And then a little further on, well, on page 3, we have condolences being offered for Dame June Gonzalez, who died on August the 10th. There is a letter here written. So we have, maybe we'll start here on page 3. Dame June Gonzalez died on the 10th of August at her Anderson Terrace, Maraval home. She was 91. And a reminder of who she was and what she did. She joined Radio Trinidad in 1956 and was the first female program director of a Trinidadian radio station, a post she took up in 1964. She resigned in 1970 and served as secretary to the late Archbishop Anthony Pantin until his death in 2000. Besides being a veteran radio broadcaster, she served the church in various capacities, including host of the Catholic Forum on the Air on Radio Trinidad.
Those of us who are old enough to remember that, but always remember her voice.
Yes.
Because she had a very distinctive voice.
Yes, you didn't have to think twice.
I mean, for school, she was head girl at school while I was a little junior pupil. And her voice had a commanding, very clear tone, you know. And I always remember.
Absolutely perfect for radio. And she was such a lady, you know, beautiful, beautiful person. So Monsignor Christian Pereira, they took the time to actually write a letter to the editor about Dame June Gonzalez. You know, in it he thanks Almighty God for her life and ministry, reminding us that she was born in Sangre Grande. She was recognized by the Vatican for her tremendous contribution to the life and growth of the Church. This recognition, a Lady of the Order of St. Gregory the Great, was given to her in 2002 from Pope St. John Paul II by Archbishop Edward J. Gilbert. Dame Louise Horn received the award many years later from Dame June Gonzalez. During the 1950s and 1960s, she was part of a special study group guided by Archbishop Finbar Ryan. Together with other members of this group, they provided lectures and teaching seminars to the Catholic faithful at various centers throughout the Archdiocese. This was a precursor, he says, to the Know Your Faith series and Bible school and liturgy school and other archdiocesan programs of faith formation. He goes on to say some of what we already read there. Also, among her many pastoral responsibilities was her involvement with the establishment of the Interreligious Organization, which we know, of course, as the IRO, and the Race Relations Committee with NJEC. She worked with a bishop who understood and loved the people of this nation as much as he loved the Lord and his church. He enabled the church to blossom and to experience great growth, and she was very supportive of his efforts, never afraid to challenge him or his methods, but always in a respectful manner. He trusted her, and she respected him. Thank you, June, for your witness and your gentle greatness. Isn't that beautiful?
Indeed. And of course, she was married to Joey Gonzalez, who was the star goalkeeper, first of all, of St. Mary's College, and then of the national football team.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have a picture of them there celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary in 2009. So there, our sister June Gonzalez, we pray that indeed you would rest in peace.
And of course, last week there was a letter from her daughter.
Yes.
You know, which very unhappy that she had called and asked for the priest to come to the house and to see her mother when she had taken ill, and was told that she had to fill out a form. So Father Marcan refers to that in his letter to the editor, which is, you know, we can get so tied up on the regulations and the way things would be done efficiently that we have to move past that to the human element and to the pastoral
care. Just fill out a form.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Well, I think it's time for us to take our first short break.
Yeah.
And Pope Francis speaking at a meeting with 50,000 young Italians. And let's take a look and a listen.
The young Italians received Pope Francis with joy and enthusiasm. Shortly before 6:30 p.m., the Pope appeared at the Circus Maximus in Rome to celebrate this great encounter with some 50,000 youth, a preparatory event for the next Synod on Young People, beginning in October. The pilgrims gave this wooden staff as a symbol of wanting to walk with the Holy Father. Next, Pope Francis listened to some young people's experiences and their future prospects. He encouraged them to follow their dreams.
I sogni grandi hanno bisogno di Dio per non diventare miraggi o delirio di onnipotenza. Tu puoi sognare le cose grandi, ma solo è pericoloso, perché potrai cadere nell'onnipotenza, il delirio dell'onnipotenza. Ma con Dio non abbi paura, vai avanti, sogni in grande.
They also shared other concerns with the Pope, such as the pressure of choosing between forming a family or developing their professional lives. First, Pope Francis asked them to know how to discern good love, and then explained why they should not let true love pass by.
I giovani sanno bene quando c'è il vero amore e quando c'è il semplice entusiasmo truccato d'amore. Voi distinguete bene queste, non siete scemi voi. E per questo abbiamo il coraggio di parlare dell'amore. L'amore non è una professione, l'amore è la vita. E se l'amore viene oggi, perché devo aspettare 3, 4, 5 anni per farlo crescere, per farlo stabile?
The sense of human suffering was also a question from the young people. The Pope, saddened, told them that not all human suffering has an answer. They also asked the Holy Father about attitudes towards the Church that sometimes fuel scandal. The Pope told them they must have something very clear.
Ognuno di noi può criticare a quel prete, a quel vescovo o a quell'altro cristiano se non è capace di uscire da se stesso per dare testimonianza. Cari giovani, questa è l'ultima cosa che dico. Il messaggio di Gesù, la Chiesa senza testimonianza è soltanto fumo.
In the evening, the vigil began, first with a prayer to the Virgin.
Santa Maria, Donna della strada, fa che i nostri sentieri siano come i tuoi, strumento di comunicazione con la gente.
And then with moments of silence, reflection, and music. The Pope, before leaving, gave them one last request.
Per questo vi dico, non accontentatevi del passo prudente di chi si accoda in fondo alla fila. Non accontentatevi del passo prudente di chi si accoda in fondo alla fila. Ci vuole il coraggio di rischiare un salto in avanti, un balzo audace e temerario per sognare e realizzare come Gesù il regno di Dio e impegnarvi per una umanità più fraterna.
At night, Rome was filled with thousands of lights to say goodbye to Pope Francis at the sound of music.
It's so heartwarming to see that because, you know, it's just not one light in the darkness, but we have so many lights of young people.
There's a lot of darkness and we need many lights.
Yes. And it's, you know, it just even that scene gives you so much hope for the church, you know, that the young people will lead us. Okay, so now we have, okay, on page 5, a quick recap of IPCP. And what is IPCP? The Integrated Pastoral Communications Plan. And this
you know all about that.
So this is what has been happening and continues to happen, and is growing more and more rapidly in our church, not only here in the Archdiocese of Port of Spain, but throughout the Caribbean region. This IPCP cultivates quality collaboration, communion, and commitment within and among the diocese of the region in order to promote a dynamic Catholic social communications presence within the Caribbean. And that is a goal, that is a hope, that is a dream of this pastoral communications plan. It is grounded in one of the church's pastoral instruction or letters, Aetatis Novae, which came out way back in 1991. It was all about church communications.
That is a real groundbreaking encyclical.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, so many years later, we're still working with it. It's, you know, it's like the Bible, you know, every word meant something, so we can continue to work with that. So, IPCP does not only involve persons who work in communications. The Archdiocese of Port of Spain began the road to IPCP in 2017 with 14 members of various ministries. They completed a cooperative pilot project inspired by Return to Hospitality, a pastoral letter by Archbishop Emeritus Joseph Harris. And we have outlined here 6 desired outcomes. Well, we're not going to read it because we'll be reading for a long time. But just to highlight maybe a couple of them, to proactively utilize the expanding social communications media milieu for creating a robust, prophetic Catholic Church presence within the Caribbean for addressing the emerging pastoral needs within the church and society.
Maybe you can put that into concrete language that we can understand it. To
well, I think
utilize expanding social communications medium milieu. All right.
Well, being okay, the source of all of this, how it came about, is through both the Caribbean School for Catholic Communications, and then we have Cygnus Caribbean, which is part of Cygnus World, which is all about communications in the Catholic Church. And many meetings later and coming together, what was realized is that most of us, even within the church, are working in silos. Everybody's sort of doing their own thing. So the main word coming out of this is really collaboration. How can we as church no longer work everybody on their own? How can we come together and create something that we're all doing together? So everybody is working in each diocese, but constantly networking to see, okay, in Trinidad and Tobago, we have Catholic TV. How can we have that in Grenada and other islands? How can we train people within the church so it's not only Catholic television here, but it's in the other islands as well? If we have a good Catholic newspaper here, how can everybody be part of that? So it's about being in your different archdioceses or dioceses, but also working together and giving the world that witness of, we are one church.
Yeah.
So everything that is being done is about bringing everybody together to work.
And then you also use Facebook and
yes, so that's it. A big part of it, of course, is the social media, because before we had radio and television, but now we have the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the WhatsApp that everybody uses every day. And therefore, how can we as Catholics in witnessing to the gospel use the social media to be able to bring that message out? Because it's no longer just, okay, let's have like in the days of Dame June Gonzalez, it was radio.
Catholic Forum on there.
That's it. So now, well, she would love to see what's happening now and be part of that. So now there's so many different avenues and forums that you can bring, and you have to. Because if you stick only with radio or television, you're going to
become a dinosaur.
That's it. And you're going to lose a wide audience out there. So you have to be, the church has to be present on WhatsApp and Instagram and Twitter and all of these things. And how do you do it? Because you have some older members of your church who still don't know what this is all about. So it's about training, older people and the younger ones who are very familiar with all of this. The old and the young working together to see.
Digital natives and
immigrants, yes. So that's what it is all about. Okay, how can I or my parish be a part of this collaborative process? Get your hands on a copy of the AEC Bishop's pastoral letter, New Ways of Being Church in a Digital Milieu.
And how does one get their hands on that? Through the Catholic Center?
I suppose so, Catholic News, or even the Archbishop's House, I'm sure would still have copies. And I would think it's online as well. I think you could get it online. Or you can contact our local IPC team members, Lisa Bajan, right here at Trinity TV, Father Robert Christo, and you have all their email addresses, etc. here. Renee Smith, who is at Campsell Parish Desk, Peter Timothy, the Evangelization Commission, and you can learn more of the process by visiting YouTube and typing in the keywords AEC eSeminar, and that leads you to a whole new world of, if you really want to get involved in this, learning more about it.
Now, maybe you could expand a little bit about that eSeminar, because it's a very, very powerful tool. But how do people get to hear about it?
Well, by going here to this on YouTube and AEC eSeminar, now I think right now they're kind of full, that's the truth, but it's going to go on. And what they do in that eSeminar, it's only, I think, 7 sessions, 7 weeks. And you do it sort of almost in your own time. You have to complete a particular segment in each week, but you don't have to sort of stick to Monday at 10 a.m. I have to be on the internet.
Yes,
you can, manage your time. But it's Sister Angela Zukowski, who is a professor at the University of Dayton in Ohio, and she's the vice principal of our Caribbean School for Catholic Communications. She is in charge of that. She has sort of, this is her initiative, and it's really blossoming. But they've broken down this pastoral letter, New Ways of Being Church in a Digital Milieu, so that people can understand it. I mean, most
so you can grapple
Catholics
with it hands-on sort of thing.
You know, you're not going to pick that up and read it, you know? So, and we learned that, you know, the pastoral letters are very interesting, full of wonderful information, but most Catholics are not going to just pick that up and read it.
Yeah, and so if you read it, you're reading it in isolation, whereas if you're part of the seminar, you're interchanged with other people and get their ideas.
And you're hearing, you know, something, you may read this particular section and you didn't grasp, you know, the message, and so it's really wonderful. So if you're really interested in communications in the Catholic Church, you can go to that seminar, see what is being offered. And then further on here,
you know, there's really no dearth of catechesis in this AEC.
Yes, yes.
And if you want to really know and find out what the church teaches, you can access it constantly.
Yeah, yeah. I think we have no excuse anymore to say that we don't know, we don't understand, and just leave it like that. I just, as we were here talking about this, maybe we could turn to page 12, where we have some photographs, and I think next week we will have an actual column or article. But these are photographs of the Caribbean School for Catholic Communications, CSCC as we call it, which concluded on Saturday, the 11th of August, which is Saturday just gone. Every year, the CSCC empowers clergy, religious, and lay people of all ages to use today's technology to communicate the good news. And the theme this year, and the week went from the 5th of August to the 11th, New Ways of Being Church in a Digital Milieu, of course taken from the pastoral letter. And CSCC participant Enrico de Jong, who is from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, he took most of the, or all of the photographs you see here. But when you get your own copy of the Catholic News, you'll see some of them. But the age group goes from 18 years old to, I think the oldest person is 65. So when you say, oh, that's a young people thing, it's not. No. We have 18-year-olds and we have somebody who's 65. In the past, we've had 70-year-olds or so. People who are just interested in what's happening in the social media and who are Catholics, you know. We have a fun picture here of the whole group on the bottom of that page.
Everybody having a great laugh.
Before that, we took a really serious group picture, and then afterwards they have this fun picture. And we have Sister Paula Andrew, St. Joseph, of the St. Joseph of Cluny religious sisters, and there she is receiving her certificate. And as you can see, she is not a teenager, but she just had such great fun. Yeah. She really enjoyed it. We had other religious sisters, we had young people, we had 3 seminarians, 2 priests. There's really a wide group, varied group of people who are, and at the end of the week, each person is commissioned during the week to create a project. And it's amazing what, you know, people come up with. You know, they start on the Sunday, some of them hardly knowing anything about using their phone or their iPad or laptop.
They thought their phone was just for making phone calls.
And, you know, during the week, they learn how to use their phone to be able to create a video project. And at the end, you sit down there in awe to see what they've come up with.
And we've seen how that has evolved from doing presentations with Bristol Board and so forth, now to doing presentations with their own video production made on your phone. Incredible.
And when you think that the CSCC will celebrate its 25th anniversary next year,
you see a whole evolution.
I mean, in 25 years, what we've come from, because, I mean, those first 3 years or so, we had mainly foreign facilitators, for one. We have evolved now into mainly local facilitators. We had people standing up and talking to you for 45 minutes, and you wrote everything down by hand. Lectures. Now we've evolved to more local Caribbean facilitators. We have people coming in by Zoom or Skype, you know, on a big screen. So somebody in California or Florida who's coming in to talk about using a particular skill or technology. So you sit there and they're teaching you or sharing with you, and they're in California.
And we don't have to put them on a plane and bring them here.
You know? So things, I mean, the way that, and then of course, as Lilias just shared, the projects at the end of the week would be, I mean, we use lots of Bristol board and crayons and different things to really create a scene. And then people had to move around in groups to be able to see the different projects. And even in those days, you worked as a group.
Yeah.
In the past few years now, it's each individual doing their projects. So now we sit down on the last day and they choose some of the best projects, and we are able to see it, you know, on the screen. We don't have all of that Bristol board and crayons and so being used again. So, I mean, how it has evolved. And then, of course, the talks now are what we call TED Talks. So they're no longer than 10 or 20 minutes. That's it. So all that, I mean, if you could just go back in time to the first school and then to this school this year, you would see a big,
I hope
big
someone
difference.
has kept a record of all that.
We're going to have to do that to celebrate our 25th anniversary.
And now we can look at our second clip.
Yes.
We have some interesting clips. We look at our second clip and remind you that when the clip is over, you can call in with anything you want to contribute to our program this morning.
For another Wednesday, the Pope was surrounded by crowds of people as he walked through the Paul VI audience hall. Francis focused his catechesis again on the subject of idolatry. He used the example of the people of Israel, who built a golden calf during Moses' absence when he was spending 40 days in the desert. Without a point of reference and immersed in uncertainty, they created an idol tailored to their needs.
La natura umana, per sfuggire alla precarietà, la precarietà del deserto, cerca una religione fai da te. Se Dio non si fa vedere, ci facciamo un Dio su misura. L'idolo è un pretesto per porre se stessi al centro della realtà, nell'adorazione dell'opera nelle proprie mani.
The Pope explained that the golden calf is a symbol for all desires that give the illusion of freedom, but in reality enslave.
Ma tutto nasce dall'incapacità di confidare soprattutto in Dio, di riporre in Lui le nostre sicurezze, di lasciare che sia Lui a dare vera profondità ai desideri del nostro cuore. Questo permette di sostenere anche la debolezza, l'incertezza e la precarietà.
Therefore, Francis insisted that when God is not recognized as the only Lord, it is easy to fall into idolatry.
Quando si accoglie il Dio di Gesù Cristo, che da ricco si è fatto povero per noi, si scopre allora che riconoscere la propria debolezza non è la disgrazia della vita umana, ma è la condizione per aprirsi a colui che è veramente forte. Allora, per la porta della debolezza, entra la salvezza di Dio.
Finally, the Pope recalled that thanks to Christ, human frailty is not a curse, but the place where it is possible to find the strength that comes from God the Father.
I think we have to apologize first of all for not having someone to do voiceovers for the Holy Father's words, and also that because the captions are in white, it's hard to see against his background. So we'll fix that.
All right, so we can
well,
go, because I turned ahead.
The priest can cook event coming up, you know. I think it's the second year, the second annual dinner.
Yes.
And all the priests of the archdiocese are supposed to, those who can cook. However, I have a feeling that they have some mothers and sisters and friends
who do the cooking.
And cooks.
And then the priest stands there and serves.
The priest dish it out. Although some I'm sure are good cooks. Anyhow, whoever gets it done gets it done.
That's right.
But the point is that the funds raised from this very popular event will go to assist 7 RC schools which have dropped in terms of their academic performance. and they want to use some innovative ways to increase and to improve that academic performance so that no schools are left behind. So the funds raised from that event will go to fund the training of teachers and so on in different methods and all that. So we would ask you to give very generously to that cause and go and have some good food in the same time.
So it is, what's the date of it? I see here we say the dinner will be served from 6:30 to 8:30. Entertainment continuing until 10:30 p.m. Tickets cost $275 and are available at all parish offices and Archbishop's House.
It's at the forecourt of the grandstand, so it's a big spacious space.
Okay, and it's Friday the 28th of September. Top entertainment acts will include Wendell Constantine, John Thomas, the versatile Alicia Jagasar, the Parang Queen, and Panorama favorites Nutrien Silver Stars Steel Orchestra. And secure parking, of course, will be available. So that is going to be a wonderful experience. Now, very tiny here on page 4.
Well, it goes on the bigger article at the back.
Starts, is the Triennial World Meeting of Families 2018 begins on Tuesday in Ireland. Now, before we read, we have a video clip that tells us a lot about that. So maybe we
let's
should
take a look at that.
If we could look at that clip.
The World Meeting of Families in Dublin will begin on August 22nd, though the highlights will be the events with the Pope on August 25th and 26th. For 3 days, experts from around the world will share good experiences in family life. For example, members of Retrouvailles will explain their successful marriage reconciliation program. There will be sessions on family finance and how to improve their economic situations or the perspective of a family business. The use of new technologies in the family and how they affect human dignity will also be discussed. Throughout the conference, there will be a special program for children and another for young people, with debates and sessions on their role in the family and society. The Pope will arrive in Dublin on Saturday, August 25th. In the evening, he will participate in a prayer encounter, including testimonies from families. Hundreds of thousands of people are expected to attend. Pope Francis will close the World Meeting of Families on Sunday, August 26th with a large mass.
Isn't that beautiful? Ending there with scenes from the Our Lady of Knock Shrine. Oh, I've never been there, but
I'm sure lots of people will go to that.
So beautiful.
And we have to pray for this World Meeting of Families because, you know, at this time there's a lot of pain and struggle within families and within the church. And in Ireland, in a special way, you know, when we think that Ireland is just incorporated into the laws of the country, abortion. Ireland, of all places, and people don't go to church anymore and lost the faith, and a lot of it has to do with the sex scandals that took place in Ireland. So, you know, scandal means causing someone to lose their faith. And that is what has happened. So we pray that this will be like a new rebirth taking place.
And healing for the
healing. And we have a delegation that is leaving today to go up.
To
join them. We have the General Secretary of the Antilles Episcopal Conference, Father John Prasad. Members of the AEC's Family and Life Commission, led by Chair Bishop Robert Lianos, Apostolic Administrator of St. John's Bastille, Father Matthew Ragbear, Spiritual Director and Theological Advisor for the Archdiocesan Family Life Commission, and Raymond and Tricia Sims, Episcopal Delegates of the Family Life Commission, will represent the AEC. And of course there are other private individuals who would be going as well. So
and they note here that the theme is the gospel of the family, joy for the world. And that on Tuesday, the national opening of the World Meeting of Families, which will take place simultaneously in all the different dioceses of Ireland. So all over Ireland, as the opening of this wonderful conference, you know, it'll be all happening at the same time.
And then, of course, the Holy Father comes the last few days of the conference, and he would do the closing mass and be present there. So that would be
on the 25th, what day is that, boy? Is that it's Saturday? A festival of families comprising a reflective concert-style event in which personal stories of faith will be shared by families from all continents. That should be very, very interesting, beautiful.
And we're going to turn, I think, to the back page because
a lot to discuss there. And we can always come back.
We don't want to steal the Archbishop's thunder. Next Thursday, he will be. This will be the focus of his
Shepherd's Corner
Shepherd's Corner. But it's to do with the death penalty, and we know that that is very topical and very much in the minds of many people. And once again, we invite you to call in.
It's true. We've reached what? We have 18 minutes, 19 minutes left, not a call. Come on. Let's get somebody calling, please.
Quite an emphasis is made in this article on the fact that the Pope has the absolute right to do what he did.
Yeah.
I have heard on other stations and commentators inferring that the Pope is out of place to have changed the teaching on the death penalty. And the Archbishop here makes it very, very clear. The Pope's power is supreme because there is no one to whom he answers, neither a person nor a body of persons. Nor could anyone override it. His power is full, for he shares it with no one. His power is immediate because he can exercise it at any time without consultation with anyone. It is universal because it is exercised over the whole church, regardless of where he is at the time. It is ordinary because it was not delegated but given to him by virtue of his office. And we understand that authority that comes directly from Jesus when he told Peter he gave him the keys of the kingdom. Whatever he bind on earth is bound in heaven. Whatever he loose on earth is loosed in heaven. And Jesus placed Peter as supreme shepherd over the whole flock. And of course, the Pope is the successor of St. Peter. And the order of bishops, which succeeds to the College of Apostles, is also the subject of supreme and full power over the universal church, provided we understand this body together with its head, the Roman Pontiff, was never without this head.
Yeah.
So the bishops can't do something without the Pope agreeing to it. They go on the article goes on to relate the evolution of this pronouncement. When Pope John Paul first revised the teaching, because of course, up until 1991, the teaching was that you commit a murder, you are justified in taking the murderer's life. That has evolved as further light is thrown and further growth has developed. He said, and the Pope, Pope St. John Paul, revised that. In 1997, he said, the traditional teaching of the Church does not exclude recourse to the death penalty if this is the only possible way of effectively defending human lives against the unjust aggressor. He went on to say, if, however, non-lethal means are sufficient to defend and protect people's safety from the aggressor, authority will limit itself to such means as they are more in keeping with the concrete conditions of the common good and are more in conformity to the dignity of the human person. That was back in 1997. He concluded that the cases in which the execution of the offender is an absolute necessity are very rare, if not practically non-existent. So now, then he went further and he proposed that the end of the death penalty is a good thing when he said modern society, in fact, has the means of effectively suppressing crime by rendering criminals harmless without definitively denying them the chance to reform. And then Pope Francis now, in his turn, goes on to the next step, calling for the end of capital punishment. And he gives 3 reasons. 1, the increasing awareness that the dignity of the person is not lost even after serious offense. 2, a new understanding of penal sanctions. And 3, more effective ways to protect citizens and at the same time to offer the guilty the possibility of redemption. And I think that is such an important point, because the person is never beyond redemption. It may take them 10 years to truly come into that place of contrition and of giving their lives to Christ.
There's so many examples of that. So many examples.
And to me, the big telling factor is the fact that humans err. And a jury can call a person guilty when they're innocent, and that has been proved over and over again, where DNA tests now show that that person had nothing to do with the murder, and they have been in jail for 16 years, and they get out. Imagine if you had hanged them.
And you know, the thing is too, when somebody, of course, has created a heinous crime, has been committed, I said created, sorry, committed a heinous crime, of course, the feeling, especially if it is somebody close, you know, you want revenge, you want to get rid of them. But, you know, to me, it's almost worse for the person. You put them in jail for life.
Yeah.
And with no pardon granted at all, and they're there for the rest of their lives. I mean, you know, to me, that if it is that you're feeling that you want something done to this person, what could be worse than spending the rest of your life in jail? And the key message...
Yeah, the key message is very important.
Good. The Pope has full authority over the Church, but exercises it with great prudence for the maturation of the faith and its clarity in our time. So not just because he has the power, he says, do this, go there, jump high. You know, it is exercised with great prudence. And the action step, read the AEC Bishop's pastoral letter on capital punishment and grapple with this teaching. And I'm sure that many people will have to grapple with it. And then you have scripture readings, yes. Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 to 48, and Matthew 16, verses 17 to 19. And we're still waiting on a couple calls. We have time. Please, we'd love to hear from you. We know that what we've been talking about has been very exciting and interesting, but time for you to join in the conversation.
Yeah. Let's know that somebody's there listening. We should look at the official.
Yeah, sure. You want to read that?
Dear sisters and brothers, on behalf of Archbishop Jason, I thank all who attended last Tuesday's Mass at the Cathedral, during which the pallium was imposed on him by Apostolic Nuncio, His Excellency Archbishop Fortunatus Nwachukwu. I hope I said that right.
Good for you, brave.
In spite of the inclement weather, there was a good turnout. Last week, many parts of our country, because of the heavy showers, suffered severe flooding. We pray for the recovery of those affected across the nation, and if we can, let us do our part to help by making a financial donation or helping in the cleanup effort. Let us be our brothers and sisters' keeper. Continue to pray for those awaiting Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, that's CAPE, and the Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence, CCSLC. I have to really keep abreast of all these different names for the exams. And Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, CSEC.
Or the Martin Certificate General. And we have our first call. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. I heard you begging for a call, so I called.
Good.
Listen, I was really so happy. I could not make the Archbishop's pallium, but I was happy to see it last evening.
Good.
And what I would suggest to you, could you kindly let us know when next it will be aired, because people just want to hear that homily.
Yes.
And to see the whole thing was so beautiful. Now, what I want to share is that I am so happy when you look at EWTN, how they are facing the pre-scandal right front, you know, and they're discussing it. You know, you look at the world over, and this is what, you know, we have to do. You know, we pray for them, pray for the victims, pray for our priests, but like I heard for the blind priest who comes late at night, Spiegel, whatever, he was saying, never forget, the gates of hell shall never prevail against us. So we're going through a rough time, but please, I don't want people to be disillusioned. We all sin and fall short of the glory of God. But God's grace is there with His church. and to see us through. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you. Beautiful. That's a nice
And of
goal.
course, when you look back over the history of the church and we see what happened within the church, you know that the Holy Spirit has never left the church, because you go through these horrific times because we are sinful people.
Yeah.
And then we come into a different place. So the Lord doesn't abandon us. Don't feel
Praise
that.
God for that. Never feel abandoned.
You know, to go back to the thing of the pallium, the nuncio gave such a wonderful teaching on it. And then he went on to teach on the Assumption of Our Lady, because of course it was the Feast of the Assumption. And for most people in the congregation, it was a true eye-opener to what the Assumption really is. And he spoke so powerfully about it. And he said that the doctrine mentioned Mary being assumed into heaven did not say the Blessed Virgin Mary died. But he went on to explain that Mary did die. She died because Jesus also died.
Oh, hold that thought. We have another call. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I just want to share a little bit with you. I thank you for your program. Hello?
Yes, yes.
You just mentioned about these CXC exams, the results of all of that. And I'm very happy to say my son did pass his exams. He didn't pass all, but I was grateful. At the end of the day, he's my son. And I thank God for the faith that I am in, the Catholic faith. I did a novena to Our Lady of Perpetual Help, and she did help me. He was successful, and now he's going to enroll to go into UTT into San Fernando.
Oh,
Good,
that's
good
good.
for you.
Jesus, thank you, Our Lady of Perpetual Help. She does it.
Amen.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. And it's always good to give thanks for what God has done in our lives.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you for sharing that with us, sister. We feel her joy and excitement.
Wow. So, because Jesus died, she also died. She died, and then her body was assumed into heaven thereafter. And he goes on to read from the actual dogma that was promulgated by Pope Pius XII. And he said having completed the course of her earthly life, was assumed body and soul into heavenly glory. And so another misconception His Excellency sought to counter was that the dead body of Mary was carried into heaven by the angels.
Oh, hold that thought again. Calls are coming in now fast and furious. Good morning, welcome.
Hello, good morning, welcome. I'm getting to the death penalty, you know?
All right.
Right. Now, when I was young, I saw this thing of what it's horrible to hang somebody. But what I want to say is, if you're sure that that is a man, sometimes, of course, some people kill people more than once, If you're sure that that is a man, I have no problem. My problem is, can we find a more humane way than to hang him from a rope? In the big countries, they have give them an injection. I mean, it's the same death, but I find it's more humane if you're sure that that is the man.
Well,
instead of having them pack up in jail there for feeding them for millions of years.
Well, the Holy Father is not even saying that. He says no death penalty at all.
Because you're never 100% sure. And in any event, what right do human beings have to take the life of another person? The fifth commandment says, thou shalt not kill. And
when we do that, we're bringing ourselves down to the level of
so we are entering into the whole violence. So that every life belongs to God, and God will take that life when He's good and ready. Until then, they can be punished, but not
our right to take somebody else's life.
So it's. Thank you for calling. The Holy Father went on, not the Holy Father. I'm sorry. the nuncio went on to say that Mary was not carried up into heaven by angels. Heaven is not a cemetery, he says. Like that. So her dead body didn't go to heaven. Rather, the Assumption signified that the soul of the Virgin Mary got united with the body of the Virgin Mary. She underwent transformation after death. So, as she died and her soul left her body, the soul entered her resurrected body, and that was what went to heaven. And that is a forerunner for all of us who will receive our resurrected bodies, which will be changed and wouldn't be these old carcasses, but it would be the beautiful resurrected body that would never die.
What a wonderful day to look forward to.
and then something else that he said that was so touching was that when God the Father chose Mary to be the mother of his son, that Jesus would be born of the Virgin Mary, flesh of her flesh, bones of her bones. He then, by doing so, he brought her into his family, into the family of the Trinity. And so she was joined to the Trinity. And I thought that was such a powerful thought, you know. And he said, you know, if God has chosen Mary, God the Father has chosen Mary, we too have to choose her. You know, how can we reject her when God the Father has chosen her?
Well, I think we've been very blessed and privileged to have had the Papal Nuncio celebrate the first Saturday Mass here. For the first time, he'd never been here before to celebrate Mass. And then last Sunday too. And, you know, listening to him preach those homilies is just absolutely
his homily last Sunday on the Eucharist was one of the best I've ever heard.
Yes, absolutely. And for those of you who are familiar with the social media, etc., you can go on YouTube and pull up, or on our website, pull up, if you want to listen to his homily, if you haven't heard it at all, or if you want to hear it again, you can do that. And it's really worth listening to. I just feel like I want to, anywhere he is, I want to hear, you know, when he preaches again. All right, so the clock is ticking. What have we forgotten? Anything that we should really...
There was a good non-violence to creation, a beautiful thrust by students to clean up the mess
in
our environment. And we see a bunch of young people. And this was a ministry of the Sisters of the Sorrowful Mother. And it was started by Sister Julie Marie Peters, who was part of the organizing team, and Delia Monrose of that congregation, Margaret Johnson and Nicole Gomes of the Franciscan Institute, and personal and family, Nigel Joseph, principal of St. Mary's College, and Annalisa Ramsey High, event coordinator. And these young people went into the Caroni swamp and cleaned up the waterways of the swamp.
Fabulous.
Armed with protective gear and garbage bags, volunteers then participated in a cleanup of a 500-meter stretch of roadway. Discarded items such as beer and soda bottles, fast food containers, plastics and foam containers, which found their way into the sanctuary's watercourses and mangrove, were retrieved and collected for proper disposal.
Fabulous.
So there was a real hands-on experience.
And when you get the children involved at that age, it plants a seed that, you know, if I have to clean this up, then I should not throw things out, garbage out of the car.
Exactly.
Okay, there's a World Youth Day 2019 raffle fundraiser. Winners, okay, so during the month of July, they had the raffle fundraiser, and they are having the winners are being presented with their prizes here. And okay, we're down to about a minute. So social justice, we have Leela Ramdeen, chair of the Social Justice Commission, her article again about caring for creation. And okay, we have, I see here for the Clyde Harvey addressing the gathering. Bishop, sorry.
That was
when he was father, yes. All right. So, and Reflect, a Brian McFarlane production. Oh, that is going to be fantastic.
Unusual.
And that's on the 30th of August. And the different, it's at St. Vinbar's RC Church. That should be exciting. And it looks like it's just one show, so get your tickets fast.
Top entertainers.
That's it for us. You have to get your own copy of the Catholic News, read it, and see if, if we've left anything out that you could read it for yourself. Thank you for joining us.
God bless.